Hi.
Thanks for agreeing to do this. I know that you're a busy working man, so thanks for taking the time out to
Yeah,
answer questions for me. Yeah, I think it would be really helpful since you have successfully completed the fashion design and garment construction program. I'm sure there are a lot of people that would love to hear what your experience was like so that they can take that into consideration before joining our program. So thank you again for taking the time out. Okay.
you're welcome.
All right. Okay. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to start kind of thinking through the flow of when you first started the fashion lab, how you were feeling, then we get to the middle of the program, and then finally to the end. So let's talk about what it was like in the beginning. So in your own words, what was happening in your life or situation right before you decided to join the fashion lab?
Well, at the very beginning, before I joined, I wasn't actually thinking of getting to. I mean, I looked at it, but it was a lot of challenge in terms of like the number of years I got to spend in school, and then
You mean
the
like at a traditional school?
yeah, the regular fashion school, and then the tuition. I was seeing about over $100,000. So I was a little bit. I wasn't really sure if I was going to do it until I came across Fashion Lab on the internet. But before I joined, I was working a regular job at a warehouse. But at the same time, I was in school studying graphic designs. Well, it was actually a different course. It was computer programming before then, but I had to switch it to graphic design because I wasn't really fulfilled with computer programming. But as soon as I switched to graphic design, it brought out the creativity again. And then I started to like get back into, you know what, I might as well just go back into fashion because I was doing it back in Nigeria before coming over here. So that actually kind of lit the fire in me to go back into fire. And then I started looking at other options. And then I came across Fashion Lab, which was like the best option for me.
Got it.
Considering I
Okay.
only had to do like 1 year or 2 years, and then the tuition was like very affordable compared to traditional schools.
Got
So
it. Got it.
that
Okay. Okay. So to recap what you were saying, you said that you did some fashion design in Nigeria, and then you
yes,
moved to America. And while you were here, you were doing like a computer programming course, but it wasn't really fulfilling you. So you switched to graphic design. And then that was when you remember that, creativity is really what you love to do. So it
that's
made you want to go back to fashion design. And when you started researching it, you came across more traditional fashion colleges and realized it wasn't for you, right? That's what you
yeah,
said?
absolutely.
Got it, got it. Okay. So before joining our program, did you have any fears or frustrations?
Did I have any fears or frustrations? I think my main frustration was just I think the sewing. But it's sewing, I mean, it wasn't my first time being on the machine, so I could still sew a little bit. But the main one was the pattern drafting. Like I I didn't really enjoy pattern drafting. I've tried it before, but I wasn't getting it. So that was like the main frustration for me. But as soon as we started, it got better. I think Marva helped a lot with that too. Gave me a lot of confidence. As soon as I understand how to read the book, got more familiar with the terms used. So I mean that really helped a lot to like. And as soon as I got confident with it, I mean it was a bliss.
Got it, got it. Okay. So you weren't so sure about this whole sewing and pattern making thing. That wasn't really your thing, but
I,
over time you felt better.
yeah, I got confident with it, and now I
Okay.
mean I could read anything. So
Okay, I'm happy to hear that. Okay, so like what were your dreams and desires before starting, if you remember?
I think at the end of the day, I just want to be successful in anything I do. First of all, but being that fashion is like my best, I'll say my best talent or the best way for me to express myself as an artist. So, means success, finally gain recognition for what I bring to the table. I think that would be like that's my dream to get recognition and not just fame. Like fame, I feel like fame is temporary. So I'm not really interested in that, but recognition is like a stamp. Like okay, you stand out for in this particular area, and then you know makes me really feel accomplished in whatever it is I'm doing. In this
Got
case,
it, got it, got it. Okay. And you mentioned before, so we don't have to go into too much detail because you already mentioned it, but you said you were researching other schools before Le Fashion Lab, and why did you ultimately choose Le Fashion Lab?
I think two things really: the number of years. Every Most traditional schools, you got to spend like 4 years. Like I'm in my 30s already. I don't want to go commit 4 years to school and then still pay over 100. Some schools pay about 150 to $200,000, and I don't have that. Even if I do get a loan after, and then I'm stuck in debt, paying this money like so. I couldn't. That wasn't a choice for me. But then with Fashion Lab, I spent a total of I don't know, a couple thousands, and then you get an option of 1 year or 2 years max. You're done, which is very reasonable for me, guys. Rather than go to other schools where you're taking classes you're not even gonna need in real life. So, but with Fashion Lab, we're going straight to the point. Uh, Pattern drafting, sewing, fashion illustration, you know, building a collection, building a portfolio, and all that. So we're just straight to the point, direct. So I enjoy doing that instead.
Got it. Got it. Okay. This is a question for you. Oh, you mentioned that you took some fashion design classes in Nigeria. Why did you feel like you needed more?
That's when I did it back then. I mean, I did some sewing, but I switched from so I did more fashion illustration actually, a little bit of sewing, but it was more fashion illustration that I was really into. So not much of sewing, but since I got here, I realized it was a little harder to, at least from the beginning, to outsource. So I just feel like I had to go through the process of it again. It was a challenge, but I was committed to doing it again just to learn how to sew, how to drive patterns. Since I already have like some illustration, I can add that together and then establish from there.
Got it. Okay. And I know you mentioned before and just a while ago too that garment construction wasn't really your thing. You're more interested in fashion design and illustration.
Yes.
How do you feel now? Are you happy that you had to do the garment construction?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, for a fact, it made me a better designer because it makes you understand more of the other techniques, like with fabric manipulation and stuff like that. And other designs that you're not really thinking of, like without fashion illustration, without being able to sew, you can just draw, you can just sketch, but it's not going to be detailed in terms of you don't know where to place the dots, where the zipper is supposed to be, the seams. You don't really have those information. You just design it without details. It's just like a rough sketch. But having the understanding of sewing and pattern drafting, it makes you like a complete designer because you know every detail of what's possible and what's not possible in constructing a garment.
Got it. Got it. And this is your just your opinion. With the right effort, do you think that someone who has truly never sewn before can still succeed at Le Fashion Lab?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just it's all about the right attitude towards it. If you make up your mind you want to do it, it's gonna be a little frustrating at first because I've seen people drop out because they just couldn't cope with it. And not just with Fashion Lab, like different schools. People think it's easy, but once you get started with it and you commit to it with the right attitude, it's definitely possible.
Got it. Okay. All right. So we spoke about like when you first started Le Fashion Lab. Now let's move to more like the middle. So if you can think about roundabout intermediate draping time, um, how has your perspective, your knowledge and skills changed as you went through the program? How did those things change for you?
Well, I just my perspective, knowledge, skills upgraded from the first semester. I got better just mainly because I got more comfortable with what we were doing with the having better knowledge about pattern drafting, which I think is like the main thing. Once you can draft any pattern, sewing it is, I think sewing is like probably the easiest now. Because it's just, I mean, you're just putting in stuff together that's already constructed. So I think that's really about it. I just got better, got more confident with it,
Got
and
more confident.
applying the same knowledge that I already acquired.
Got it. Okay. As you went through the program, is there anything that you experienced that was different than you expected?
Was there any, could you repeat that?
Yeah, sure. When you, as you were going through the program, is there anything that surprised you, like it was different than you expected?
Um, Honestly, not really. 'Cause I just came in with an open mind. Like I didn't really have like expectation. I was just optimistic. Okay, I'm here to learn. I'm open to it. Like I just want to learn how to do this. So I didn't really come in with like
Any
having
preconceived
expectations.
ideas?
Yeah, because I don't want to be like disappointed. You know, once you have expectation, you get disappointed most of the time. So
That's true. That's wise. That's wise. Is there any great benefit that you experienced that you didn't expect?
a great benefit. I think the benefit. I think it was just everything in total. Like just the fact that I could learn how to draft the patterns, do got more familiar with. No, actually, I think it was more textile. Getting familiar with textile, because really in most schools they don't really introduce you to that. So once we did the class with Rushika, that really like that was a great benefit to me because I wasn't well part of the expectation. I wasn't expecting to go into textile, get more familiar with different type of fabric. We actually got to feel the fabric, learn the names of the fabric. So going fabric shopping was a lot more easier because we know what to do with it and what not to do with different types of fabric. I'll
Got it.
say, so.
Got it. Okay. Along the way, you mentioned that sometimes things can get frustrating. What were some of the frustrations or challenges that you had? Can you remember any?
Um, well, last year because last year, we got the coronavirus and all that. So that was, and then we had to work online. But on a regular year, that wouldn't be a problem. But because we had to move online, doing sewing online was for me it was a little frustrating because we were walking through camera. Marva wasn't there to actually like show me, oh, this is what you're supposed to. So it was a little difficult at first, but as soon as we got back to class, I think it was on for like 2 weeks. But as soon as we got back to class, I mean, it went back to normal.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
Wasn't a lot of like difficulties though, but
Okay. Okay. So no difficulties or challenges that you can think of with the pattern making or sewing
pattern. I mean, pattern. I mean, I just didn't say pattern because I've been saying pattern making a lot of
the
times.
whole time. Yeah.
That was like my main challenge, but it got better the more we got into it from first semester to second semester. It got a lot better, so I could
Got,
like draft any pattern.
got it. Okay. How much time do you think that you spent practicing per week outside of class?
Outside of class, well, because of my work, I didn't really get to spend a lot of times, but at least from time to time, every day, even if like an hour or two, I could draft a pattern or draft a pattern or two, maybe like 2 hours a day at night, stuff like that. But in
So,
total, yeah, because I mean, we're in class Wednesdays and Fridays. So I got like 5 other days to practice like 2 hours a day. So that's
okay,
about
so maybe 10 hours per week
yeah,
thereabouts?
yeah, like 10 hours.
Okay, okay. You already mentioned some of the classes that you enjoyed, but are there any that you would say were your favorite?
Illustration is definitely my favorite.
That's your thing.
Yes, especially with like Rushika. Even though I already know how to illustrate, but with her being my tutor, like she made me see a different side to it. Like, yo, I don't even know. I'm not really that good compared to like how better I could get. So, but apart from illustration, I'll say pattern drafting later became like my second favorite because as soon as I just had to understand it. So as soon as I understood it, it got better. I started to enjoy it. Like I could look at any design in the book and go line for line with the book and actually draft the pattern, and it's gonna come out exactly how it is. And then
That's,
sewing, of course,
I
sewing,
love
of course,
sewing.
sewing is like the thing. It brings everything together. Like you can cut the fabric, you can design it, but unless you bring it together, you're not really gonna see like the finished product. So sewing too, definitely. So illustration, pattern drafting, sewing.
That's kind of everything. The thing that makes me happy to hear that is because I know when you first started the program, you were definitely prioritized illustration and design, and you weren't super keen on garment construction, but you knew you had to do it. But it was more like, oh, I guess if I have to, I will. So
Yeah.
it's nice to hear that you're now feeling a lot more comfortable with those. So that makes me feel good. All right, so let's transition now closer to the end of the program. What have you achieved that you'd say you're most proud of? There you go, you're back.
Yeah. I was getting a call was coming. I had to cut it off.
Okay, no problem. I can repeat the question.
Yeah,
So yeah, what have you achieved that you'd say you're most proud of?
I think the main thing is the fact that I started out with a goal to go to a fashion school, and then I actually finished. I think that in itself is an achievement for me because, again, I've been to school before, but I didn't even finish, and I've come across a bunch of different people who start thinking, "Oh, it's just gonna be a breeze," and then they get to sewing and drafting pattern, they realize how much work actually goes into it, but then they couldn't cope with it, and then they had to drop out. So the fact that I started and I finished, did my collection, I'm super proud about that. So I think that's like my main accomplishment, just to start and finish.
That makes sense. Makes sense. All right. Specifically, are there any goals that you accomplished for yourself outside of starting and finishing?
Any other goals? I think that'll be like putting the collection together. Putting the collection together. So actually having to be the one to do everything. I mean, I still have the clothes hanging in. Once in a while when I'm walking by, I still see it and I'm like, oh wow, I actually made all this. Especially not even knowing how to sew or draft patterns from the scratch, from the beginning. So still seeing that still makes me feel good by myself. Like now I feel like I can make any collection I want. Because I've already been through the process. And I can do it again and again and again. It's the same process.
Got it. Got it. Okay. All right. You said before starting the program, you had little to no skills in the following areas. How would you say you're feeling now in terms of your confidence and your competence? Fine sewing techniques and how to finish garments professionally.
Yeah, I got better. I got better with that definitely with the sewing. Like you said before, like it's not really like my forte, but I did it because I knew I had to. It was gonna make me a better designer in general. So, but now after the especially with the making the collection at the end, the third semester, that was when I really got to enjoy it because it was coming to life. Like the designs that I put together, the patterns I drafted, the sewing brought everything together, especially with the finishing where I could actually look at it and be like, oh wow, like I did this. And from beginning to the end, without what Marvel was there to help, but the fact that I could actually do that, it made me feel really good about my sewing skills now.
That's it.
You
Good.
always get better. I mean, it's like driving. The more you do it, the better you get. So, but so far, I'm comfortable with it.
Good. Good. How about your pattern making skills? You've mentioned that a lot. You feeling confident and competent in that area?
So, just like the sewing, I think it was just more getting familiar with the terms used in the book. Like you're not really going to understand until you start doing it, and then you keep seeing it over and over and over and over, and then you get more comfortable with it, which actually happened. So now it's like reading any other book. Like I already understand the terms. If they say, "Oh, draw a line, 5 inches, notch," yeah, same. I know. I just got familiar with the terms, and now it's actually a lot better.
That's it. Okay. And you came into the program being very good at sketching and illustration. How do you feel now about your sketching and illustration skills?
That also got better, basically because of Rushika. I mean, I could draw, I could make flats, but rendering using colors and all that, it got really better with Rushika using the markers and the colored pencils. I wasn't really that good in that area, but with the teaching and then after the class making the collection, it improved a lot from the classes.
Got it. Got it. And how to come up with a design concept and bring it all to life with your garment construction skills. Feeling good about that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that actually got better right from the jump because from the mood board. I mean, I think we had a class with Veronica before Rushiga. So even from the mood board, just from any picture, actually, like you could take any picture and then build a concept from that, from any idea from zero, and then just start building it, choosing fabrics, choosing the right colors, and then building that for a particular customer, building a customer profile for somebody, and then from there, we can now attribute that to like a target market. So that got better,
Good. Good.
definitely.
Okay. And in general, are you happy with the skills that you gained at the Fashion Lab?
Oh yes.
Okay. Keep it short and simple. Oh yes. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I just have some wrap-up questions to ask, So is there anything that you wish you'd known before you joined Le Fashion Lab?
Um, Not really.
Because I know you said you didn't come in with any expectations so much.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but at the end of the day, I feel like I achieved a lot in 1 year compared to spending 4 years in school, just learning stuff that you're not really gonna need. But in that 1 year, I was able to cover every base.
Got it. Got it.
School
Okay.
different, so it was worth it.
Got it. Okay. And let's say you knew of some prospects who were interested in coming to Le Fashion Lab. Is there anything that you'd say to them? Any words of advice or anything?
My only word of advice to students: it's important to just a lot of people listen to respond rather than listen to understand. And I think that could be like a detriment to you in terms of when you're learning. As a student, you should just listen to learn. Like for example, a teacher might say something like, "Oh, draw a line of 5 inches," but the student is asking questions again, like, "Oh, why? Why should I do that? Or what's the end result?" Rather than just be patient and just follow instructions. Like people have a lot of problems like just following instructions. So I think if you want to learn, you just gotta take away the ego, take away whatever you know. Just listen to your tutor and just do what they say because they know better than us. They've already experienced over and over and over. They know the mistakes. They know the end result. So just better to just put everything aside and just listen to your teacher, and then you can learn a lot better. You see the result yourself at the end of the day.
I think that's really good advice. I think it's good advice for anybody who is trying to learn something new, that just put aside the ego. Don't ask too many questions up front because eventually you'll understand why you are
You
doing what
will.
you're doing. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that makes sense, Daniel. All right. And then one last question for you. Who would you say is the ideal Le Fashion Lab candidate? What traits and desires or personality should this person have?
Well, someone who's a team player first, because you're not gonna be with teacher. You're gonna have like other students working with you. So someone who's a team player, someone who's patient, someone who's willing to learn, stuff like that. Someone who can actually take a lesson and then digest it and put it into practice, and not just leave the class and then that's it. Someone who takes time who invests time in practicing when they get home on stuff being learned in class. So once you put all those things together, I mean, those are the things you're gonna definitely get a good end result.
Got it. Got it. Well, Daniel, thank you for your words of wisdom and your advice. You're 100% right that somebody who is patient and will do the work outside of class can thrive at the Fashion Lab. And we have absolutely enjoyed having you in our program. You should be very proud. You're our first guy who has completed the program. So we're very proud of you.
I see
And
you have another guy in class.
yeah, I think we have at least two more now. So we'll see if they can stick it like you.
Yeah, I hope so.
So we're proud of you, and we're just happy for you to be a part of the Le Fashion Lab family. And don't be a stranger. Even though that you've graduated, we're here to support you if you need us, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.